Welcome to our F3 podcast, where we discuss all things that are pertaining to faith, family, and finances. We are your hosts today. I am Dr. Lionel M. Blair Sr., and I'm sitting next to my gorgeous, lovely, perfect wife. Perfect in all her ways, bless God, Dr. Jasmine Blair. As usual, we got a good one for you today.
Yes, thank you for that introduction. Welcome to all of our first time viewers and listeners. We're glad you're here with us. Listen, make sure you hit that like, comment, share, spread the word, hit the notification bell so that you will be notified every time we premiere a new episode. For our audio listeners, be sure to subscribe to the show on your mobile device. That way, a new episode will download every time we launch one. Now, this is one of my favorite topics here. I want to talk about cliques in the local church because this is a problem for a lot of places. And look, senior leaders, I want to talk to you for a minute. Many of you do not know that you have cliques in your church. You don't know that you have cliques brewing in your church. Quick story time. I was a part of a ministry several years ago, and this was a particular ministry. I was just kind of there. I'll save the rest of it for an extended story time. That's a whole nother episode, and how I got there and how I left there and why. Good story though. But anyway, for sake of time, we'll go with this portion of the story. And I remember being there after service, and I noticed these people would just speak. They would shake 4 or 5 hands and then go in a corner and start gossiping and just kicking and laughing, spilling the tea. And, one of the guys, I greeted one of the brothers, and he said, well, is it just me, or just does it seem like they just can't wait to get over there and start talking? I'm trying to talk and get to know everybody, but it just seems like they don't really want to talk. And on another day, and as I'm telling the story, you're probably kind of getting the gist of what I'm saying. There was somebody else, I'm like, okay, well, most of these people were part of the praise team. And there was somebody in the congregation. I'm like, well, I know you sing or you play an instrument. Well, I would get involved, but I can't get to know everybody because they act like, they don't want to talk. They act like somebody is interrupting them every time I try to go over there and say hi. And so this stuff happens more often than you think. And pastors, I'm going to tell you, this is something that you have to grab a hold of. This could be the reason why your ministry is not growing. This could be the reason why people are not getting involved. One of the things about people is they've got to feel that point of connection. But if your core people, your power players, will save the rest of that for leadership training. If the main people that you have in place are not accessible for people to get to know, for people to feel comfortable with, for people to feel welcomed by, they're not going to want to do anything else other than show up and then get the word and then maybe give their offering or not and then leave. That's all they're going to do. And the larger your church is, the harder it is to detect this type of stuff. The harder it is to detect this type of stuff and notice it and actually do anything about it. So the first line of defense for you, you're going to have to train your people. If you've got elders, you've got leaders, you've got department heads, they're going to have to learn how to act as responsible parties. Responsible parties, and keep being the eyes and ears on the ground for listening for this type of stuff, because this could be the very thing that's deterring people away, and you have no idea that this is even happening. And you're going to have to learn how to address these things in love. People are still growing. People are coming out of different places. So we don't want to discourage people from growing, but we do want to address these kinds of cliquish behaviors simply because they're just not fruitful. And most people, because we're nice Christians and we want to have the love of God, and, we're not going to say anything about it. We just going to either keep on going or keep sitting there not doing nothing, or we're going to leave and go to another church. See, everybody's not like me. Even back then, I was to the place, if I got something to say, I'm going to say it. It's going to be bold. It's going to be tactless. You might be mad at me, but at least my heart was in the right place because I was honest. I loved you enough to tell you the truth. I'm sorry. It came out all wrong, but I meant what I said. And I told the pastor, I said, you do realize this is why you holler for volunteers every week. We need help. We need help. We was having 2 services because it was a smaller place, seat about 60 people. Okay, if you're having 2 services, that means you got at least 100 people that's coming every week. Why you got 100 people showing up every week and nobody wants to do anything? Instead of asking the people, you need to ask God. And I can tell the pastor, you do realize this clique stuff, this right here, this is why people don't want to get involved and do anything. I don't feel like I'm a part, because every time I want to talk to the people. They're so more interested in talking to each other than the rest of the congregation. They don't want to get to know anybody. They don't want to get to greet anybody. They shake 3 or 4 hands, 5 on a good day, and then they're back in the corner gossiping, cackling, and laughing. And anybody that walks up to them is an inconvenience to their personal conversation. I said, this is why nobody really wants to get involved. This is why nobody feels welcome, because being a part means having to deal with them, and the character and the friendliness that they have showed is that they're not really interested other than whatever else they got going on. See, nobody else really said anything, but you know me, like I said, it was bold, it was tactless, but it was said, look, this right here, this is what you got to fix. And understand, as a ministry is new and growing, sometimes you are going through the growing pains, you're going through the transitions. And, you know, this pastor was wearing many different hats at the time. And so he was not able to see. He didn't have the eyes and ears on the ground, and he was too busy because he worked a full-time job in addition to all of this, y'all. So this was one of those pastors. He was legitimately had a lot on his plate personally as well as ministerially. But it does not change the reality that he didn't have eyes and ears on the ground, and he could not be the eyes and ears himself to recognize that this was a growing problem until we got to the point where it was like 100 people every week, and he's hollering, we need volunteers, and nobody's volunteering because everybody's like, okay, I say hi, and you act like you're being inconvenienced. I got a question, you act like it's bothering you. I'm asking you about Bible study time or this, that, and the third, or maybe we can go to lunch and you act like I'm bothering you. I don't want to do nothing. That's a real feeling. People need that personal touch. People want to feel welcome. People want to feel connected. They want to feel like they're genuinely a part before they start doing a bunch of stuff with people that don't know you. You know, we always holler, know those that labor among you. Well, how am I going to get to know you if I can't even talk to you for a minute? Hello, hi, like, right. Because your personal conversation is more important than you being available to meet and greet the people in the congregation. Understand, no, you don't have to, you know, go around and shake everybody's hand every Sunday or every Thursday, Friday, Saturday, whatever day that you hold service. But understand, as the congregation grows, the camaraderie has to grow. The connection has to grow. You have to open up to start seeing other people as a part of the household of faith. And when you don't do that, it creates these problems and people feel unwelcome. So it's important to recognize these cliques are an issue. And it's like I said, there were people that ended up not getting involved. Some people ended up leaving because they just did not feel valuable because they weren't a part of this clique. They weren't a part of the it factor, the end all, the be all of this. Right. So I want to kick this over to you so we can kind of get started with this. We want to define these church cliques. We want to talk about signs on how to find them and how to identify them in ways to prevent that from happening. But also we're going to discuss how you actually address the issue with dissolving these cliques so it does not blow up into a whole thing and potentially turn into a whole church split.
Well, I think first we need to define what clique is. So we're going to go to Google.
Okay, we're going to Google, y'all. We're going to Google.
We're going to go to Google. So clique is a small group of people with shared interests or other features in common who spend time together and do not readily allow others to join them.
Boom.
See, that's what really makes a clique, not the fact that a group of people spend time with each other. It's the fact that it's just us and no one else is invited.
That part. Mm-hmm.
No one else is invited. We don't deal with no one else but our own little thing. So, you know, I can remember visiting a church, and those who know me know I can be very strong in my opinion about things. But see, you'll never really say that you know me until you sit down and get to know me. You know, and you know, I've had people tell me, you know, they thought I was mean until they sat down and got to know me. You know, and they see that I'm, you know, they say, hey, you're a decent guy.
And people think you mean, and then they think I'm quiet.
Yeah, yeah. and they swear but down like, oh my God, she's just so oppressed. She's just so oppressed.
That's another story time episode. We'll get
my wife louder than me. Okay. Okay. My wife louder than me. Believe that.
Story time episode.
Yeah. Yeah. So, you know, but I noticed like people, they just avoided me like the plague. Very few people say hello or whatever. And I'm just like, what is this? And you can feel that energy in the atmosphere. You can feel when some people have an issue with you. You can feel when a certain group
Oh
of
yeah.
people talk about you. You
Mm-hmm.
can feel. You see what I'm saying? Regardless of how you feel about a person, when someone comes to your church, they should feel loved and welcomed. Okay.
Exactly.
Let me say that again. They should feel loved and welcome, regardless of whether their political beliefs are different than yours,
Regardless of what they got on.
regardless of what they got on, regardless of what they preach, whether it be online or anywhere else. You understand what I'm saying? Anyone who comes to your ministry or your church should feel welcome.
Yes.
They should feel loved. They should feel accepted. Hey, we don't agree, but hey, perhaps we can sit down and talk about, our disagreement on politics or our disagreement on this, and we may never agree, but hey, we're all part of the body, and we love you, and we can have healthy debates sometime. But I mean, just approaching this thing with maturity. But when I begin to visit this church, I'm just like, man, these people, they really don't like me here. But my friends at the time was going to the church, so sometimes I would visit with them. But I'm like, these people despise me here. I'm just like, oh my God.
Not the
like,
way you want to feel when you walk in God's house, right?
yeah.
You want to feel the love of God when you.
Yeah, it's just like, it's just like I can't even worship God in here. It's just like, I can't even worship God in here because
You
you
feel
can
all
just
that,
feel you feel
Look at
all
him.
you
Look at
feel
him.
all that. You're right.
Look at him.
Right.
Who he think he is.
Yeah.
No, but you can't feel comfortable when you kind of feel that in the air. It's like, well, what did I do?
Yeah, and after a while, I just stopped.
You stopped altogether.
I just stopped going, and then my friends at the time, they thought they were gonna bring a move of God there. I said, you gonna bring the move of God in there?
Mm-mm.
I said, not with them people. Okay, you ain't gonna bring no move in there. Ain't no revival about to hit that place. They ain't gonna listen to you because it'll turn their nose up at them too. But anyway, the point is, when it comes to cliques, and what makes cliques so dangerous is that they operate independently from the pastor.
Woo!
But
Mm-hmm.
usually they try to seek to get some kind of approval from the pastor
Mm-hmm.
or leadership. I remember there's another church I was a part of for a while, and out of all the ministers there were about probably four of them, there, and they begin to get a little cliquish. No, not the fact that they spend time with each other because it was two couples. It is
Mm-hmm.
not that it is not. Listen, there's going to be some people you relate to more than others.
Yes.
Let me say that again. There are going to be some people you relate to more than others. That's okay. That's
Yeah.
okay.
Everybody
All right.
ain't gonna be your best friend.
Right.
And I think it's good to pause right here and
Mhm.
clarify, because you got some people on the other end of the spectrum of unnecessary rejection. Yes, we brothers and sisters in Christ, but everybody's not gonna be your best friend. Just, oh my God, you're a believer, I'm a believer too. And that's great. I'm excited. Yeah, that's wonderful. But that don't mean you're gonna be in my house next week.
Right.
Some people go on the other extreme of rejection. And so we want to address that too. Yes, I get it. You're not going to be tight with everybody. Everybody's not going to be at your house. Everybody's not coming, out to lunch with you or whatever. However, in the ministry setting, when you're around people, you're getting to know people, because I understand it takes time, to build up the people. The ultimate goal should be to get to know people.
Right.
That should be the ultimate goal. It's okay if they're not at your house in 6 months. I get
Right.
it. You got to get to know people. However, you can't cling so tight to the people you do know that you miss valid opportunities to get to know the people that you don't know, because you're so deep in conversation. Okay, you got her number. You got his number. Talk to them outside of this setting. Open yourself up to even be willing. Even your body language says you're not trying to get to know nobody else right now.
Right. Right.
And for some of you that are, on leadership team or you serve in ministry, it's real easy to go duck out for your responsibilities if you don't want to get to know people. Well, I got to go take care of this. Okay, but can it wait like just 3 minutes? Just 2 minutes, just for you to get to know somebody and shake hands and maybe exchange numbers, maybe follow them on social media, because that's the thing these days. Is it going to take you that long? Hey, what's your IG? What you see what I'm saying? It's not that hard. At least start there. That way, you have some type of way to get in contact with the person. Begin to make yourself personable. It starts there. But back to you. Back to you.
Yeah. So this you made a good point, and I could tell that these two groups of people related to each other,
Mm-hmm.
but it began to look like it became something else.
Mm-hmm.
It just had that feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And how I know that it looked like it became something, because then, I begin to hear little side conversations. Yeah, they're a bunch of haters. They're hating on us and this and that. Why? Because the pastor called on y'all a little bit more. I mean, it literally began to be like them and then just everybody else.
That part.
You see what I'm saying? And there was no inclusion a lot of times. I mean, I was around them a little bit, but there was no inclusion a lot of times into um, their space.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and there's sometimes it can be a thin line between clique and someone you just relate to.
Yeah,
But
and some people go on a rejection. Well, I don't feel involved, but you didn't even try. So
right,
then there's that
yeah,
too. You can't feel left out if you didn't try to be left in.
right. You see, you just got to be mindful in that area,
Yes.
because if you are one who can relate to some more than others, you got to still sure that you're showing love to your brother,
Right.
showing love to your sister. You don't know what people are going through, and a lot of time when people are going through stuff, I mean, the simplest misunderstandings can take someone overboard because they're already going through. So if you give them 1 ounce of
Mm-hmm.
rejection, I mean, it could really be costly. So when it comes to cliques, and pastors, you really have to put a stop to this.
Mm-hmm.
Senior leaders, you really got to put a stop to this. Because anyone who comes into your ministry should feel loved, they should feel accepted, they should feel involved, they should feel like they are a part. Most churches I've ever been to, I've never felt like I was a part.
Mm-mm. Well, it's just like that one time. I don't know if you remember. It was a few years back. The pastor invited us out to lunch, and they wanted us to come visit their church. And so we got to the church, and a little early. We were sitting in the parking lot, and we were waving at people. Well, I was waving at people because I'm always hi hi, and people were looking like, "Who are you? Why are you here?"
Right.
And I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, okay, these can't be the church members. So we, get out the car and we're coming in and waving at people, and they're just looking like, who are you? There's no hi. Welcome to ABC Church. Just throwing an example out there. We're glad you're here. Did someone invite you? Can we help you find a seat? Have you been with us before? No, nothing. Just stares. So then once the pastor, let me introduce you to so-and-so and so and so and so, you can kind of see that little sheepish embarrassment on people's face.
Yeah.
And I get it. I get being protective over your house, because sometimes you will have random people come in and, things just kind of go left.
What's the purpose of the house?
But you can at least be nice. Even if somebody random come, hello, they're there to receive the word.
Right.
Be nice. At least see what the person wants before you go into mean mug mode, as I call it.
Right.
And in my mind, I'm just like, I don't want to visit that church anymore. I will go see Pastor so-and-so somewhere else. We can go out for coffee or cookies or something, but I'm not going back to their church because these people are not nice.
Your members are mean.
Your members are mean. And I see why people my age don't want to come here, because your members are mean. And that's the reality of it. A lot of people do not recognize how you appear to people is going to make a difference on whether or not they feel welcome. And understand, see, and this goes into the other part too. I tell people all the time, remember where you came from. There was a time where you were not so holy. You were still coming in. You were learning. You didn't know what was the right or wrong thing to do or say. You might have been overzealous or a little too pushy, a little too friendly. People are not going to come in perfect, ready to engraft into the body. It takes time, and you've got to be willing to love people through their issues while they are shifting, and while they're learning to become a part. But if there's no space for them to feel welcome, to feel like it's safe enough for them to grow through their flaws and be supported along the way, why bother?
Yeah, I mean, I've been places, man, where the husband pastor was fond of me, but the wife pastor, I guess because of what I post, what I say, I don't know. He was cool. He took time to talk to me. The wife just gave me like a
You get that a lot.
I'm
Get
just
it.
like, I'm just like, are you kidding me? Like I say hello and you don't say a word. Don't say a word. You know, I'm just like, okay. And this was a charismatic church, mind you, too.
Right.
So all they preach about is love, brother, love, and the gifts of the spirit, love, brother. I guess it's love until it comes to this black guy with a mohawk who preach stuff that you don't agree with.
Yeah, you preach stuff that they didn't consider love, so they weren't going to show you love,
right?
Because that makes sense.
That makes sense.
That makes sense.
So I've had this thing, where, I mean, some of the major people that preach love, I have not received any kind of love, because again, the clique thing, if you're not doing what we're doing, if you're different from us, you have a different view, or if you don't dress like us, we got to stop this pettiness.
It's stupid
because you're running people away. You're running people away, and God is going to hold a charge to you for not loving people properly. Because see, even if somebody's rough around the edges, you don't know what they're going through.
Right.
Some people, that's the only way they know how to express their frustration. They're the only way they know how to express their anger or their struggle. Okay, sometimes, and it's not until you really sit down and get to know the people that you can get past all the layers. See, cliquish people, they don't put in the work to really minister to people and love people and get to know people. Then, because they're not going to invest the time unless it's with their own. Now, I have some of my favorite people I love to be around. I do. I ain't gonna lie about that. I got some favorite people I love to be around. There's some people that's always a pleasure for me to be around.
Some people are not so pleasurable.
Some people are not so pleasurable. But it does not stop me from loving people.
Especially when you are at the Bible study, the service, the conference, the seminar, where the intention is for everybody to worship God together as one.
Yeah. And see, for my favorite people I like to be around, they're always going to have me. I'm going to always be here. You understand what I'm saying? But right now, I need to take some time to pour into brother so-and-so, sister so-and-so. Okay? And that's what I'm going to do. You understand what I'm saying? Because when I'm done taking time and investing and loving on them and getting to know them, you're gonna always be there. At least I hope. So it's okay to have people that you can relate to more than others, but long as you don't close your heart to other people. I've been places, man. I mean, people have given me the cold shoulder like nobody's business. And I'm just like, yeah, y'all pastor cool, but y'all are garbage. And I would never come back here.
Pastors, take note. Your people and their presentation says a lot about you, your ministry.
It does.
And for some people and some families, it makes the determination on whether or not they're even willing to come back. But I want to talk about how to identify some of these cliques. So the first thing you look for is a group that stands off and is hesitant or bothered by letting anybody else in. You got to look for that, because the key is, again, it's not about hanging out with people, spending time together, fellowship, and making friends. It's about the fact that when you are in this setting at church, not at home on your couch, at church, where you should be getting and I told you sometimes you got to go over to the other side of the sanctuary to get to know people.
Yeah.
They're not willing to go over to the other side of the sanctuary. They want to just stay in that corner. They sit down. They don't greet anybody. It's just them few. And then when somebody comes, oh, shh. Oh, hey, how you doing? That stuff. That's what you got to look for. That's the first step. The second thing you have to look for is their feedback or concerns about people are never biblical. Well, I don't know. I mean, the way that she dressed, or the way that he talks, or the things that he believes. What is the biblical danger here? Is it just stuff that you don't like? You're being critical of the person, but you don't really have a genuine biblical concern. It's just you're critical about things that may shift or make your clique uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. They're just critical responses. That's the next thing that you want to look for. 3, you got to look for the fact that in some cases, now this isn't in all church cliques, but you have some church cliques that are prophetic and spooky in nature, to where you always have a warning about anybody that personally rubs you the wrong way, and you don't want to let them in your clique. You always have a prophetic warning. Well, I would be watchful. I was just, something in my spirit was not right. Something was not settled in my discernment. Always they won't settle because you don't like them. Right. That won't God. That's you. Don't you know your own soul speaks? We'll get into that another day. But everything you discern or hear ain't you. Some of it ain't God. It is you. Some of it is just you. Stop blaming God for the fact. Stop lying on God because you don't like somebody, because they dress a certain way you don't like. They talk a certain way that you don't like. They carry themselves in a little way that you don't like. Or maybe they're newer to the faith. So maybe they're a little zealous. Maybe they're a little more lax in certain things. Maybe they're not the holy roller you would want them to be. That don't mean that God telling. First of all, let me back all the way up. If you don't like them, God isn't telling you anything about them that you need to tell the pastor. Period. Point blank. Come on. God is not a gossip. Why would he purposely go out of his way? And God is not slow either. So why would he purposely go out of his way to start revealing stuff to you about somebody when you don't like them anyway? That's only going to make your view. Think about it. The goal is love. The goal is unity. If you don't like somebody anyway, God telling you something negative about them is only going to make you more critical, and it's not going to cause you to grow in compassion towards them. So why would God tell you of all people when you already don't like the person? Come on now. God will tell somebody who's more gracious, who has a heart of compassion towards them, and because he knows that they're going to pray for them. He knows that they're going to love on them. So if you already don't like the person, God ain't telling you nothing about them. Ain't no type of warning God telling you that you need to go tell the pastor. That is you warning you because you don't like them. Come on. That is you warning you because your false house of cards, your false religious paradigm you live in is going to get shaken up. Come on. And some things in you that need to go, some things in you like this attitude that are ungodly about to get rubbed the wrong way because they need to go and they need to be challenged. It is changing some things in you where you thought you was more saved than you really were. That's probably what your problem is in a lot of cases. Yeah. And so we have got to get out of this. So this is how you identify these cliques. And different places that you can find these cliques in churches. No particular ministry, this is not shade, it's just my observation over the last 16, 17 years. You find them in praise and worship teams. You find cliques. It's very easy because you're already spending all these hours worshiping together and going over songs and rehearsal and stuff. The intercessory team is the number one place to find cliques in churches. Why? Because they're always praying together. They always hear from God. And usually you don't have a lot of people that want to be on the intercessory team. And pastors in churches who are not prophetic, or you're just coming into the prophetic, or maybe you are the prophetic, you believe in the prophetic, but you don't allow people to, give a word. The wounded prophets that should be the prophetic voices of your church, you can go find them on your prayer team or your intercessory team. So you've already got a bad recipe for a clique because these people are gifted and they're wounded. Gifted and wounded is a recipe for disaster in any department of any ministry. But the intercessory team is where a lot of people's destinies have been slayed and destroyed, and mantles have been dropped because you got wounded, gifted people praying, and PREYING, praying on people because of what they see, because of what they feel, and because of the validation that they didn't get. Other places to look for cliques will be amongst your ministers or your leadership staff.
Yes, God.
Within the deacons, within the church mothers, within those who handle any other type of auxiliary type of ministry.
The mothers, boy. Some of them was messy too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And some people, well, you know them. No. I'm going there because see, anywhere where you already have a group of people off to themselves, ministers in training, those that are up and coming that you're getting ready to push forward. These are easy places to find cliques. Also, if you have any type of auxiliary, whether it's Bible study, whether it's children's ministry, whether it's the homeless ministry, whether it's community outreach, wherever you have the same people volunteering and nobody else is volunteering, and it's just like the same five and that's it, that is a primary place for a church clique to start to build and form, because it's just them. So then they start venting to each other. They start complaining, and then it starts to develop into this thing. Okay, well, you don't even do this. We the ones doing this. See, there's this. I don't know what it is with church people. Every time you serve in a capacity, somebody else does it. There's this arrogance that comes along with it. We're not mad that you take the trash out. God laid it on your heart. God anointed it for you because you have an eye for cleanliness. First of all, I don't know, but look, I don't want everybody taking the trash out, because everybody does not have the eye to detail. Everybody does not have the eye to understand that, yes, you need to take the trash out. You need to disinfect the inside and the outside of the trash receptacle before you put a bag in there. That it takes an anointing to do that right. Now, you don't have to be anointed for it, but it does take an anointing to do that right. Everybody's clean ain't clean. But if you serve in a capacity to where somebody else doesn't, that doesn't make you better than them. Oops. That doesn't make you more anointed than them. Now, you might be, but most likely you're not. Even if you are, where's your humility about the situation? So we've got to stop having this air of clout and this inflated, important sense of self that's not real just because you do something that somebody else does not. Every joint supplies. So every joint is not meant to supply the same way that you supply. So how do we deal with these cliques? What would you do if what would be your take on breaking up a church clique?
Oh, well, my approach to that would be very radical. My approach to that would be very, very radical. But first, I would address the clique.
Yes.
Number one. Like, listen, ain't nothing wrong with y'all hanging out together and all that other stuff. But when you are in the house of God and when you are among the people of God, okay, y'all don't need to be huddled up over in a corner and we got new people coming in. People don't even know you. People don't even know the culture of our ministry. They don't understand none of that stuff.
Right.
Y'all need to spend more time. Getting to know the people that's there.
And call each other at home.
Yeah, call each other at home. Go out to eat on another day at another time. There's plenty of time for you to do what you want to do, but what you're doing looks cliquish. It makes people feel rejected. It makes people feel not loved. And so yeah, stop all that. Stop all that, because we are one body, not one clique.
Uh-oh.
All right, one body, not one clique. So if all y'all do is talk to each other and y'all don't talk to anybody else outside of each other,
there's 100 people in here. You talk to the same 5 people,
right? That's not God. That's not God. Matter of fact, you need what you would need to do is purpose within yourself to get to know someone else outside of your clique.
Speak, but have in your mind, okay, we at church. I have an opportunity. We can talk anytime. Let me get to know somebody else.
Yeah.
Not saying every service you got to go stalk somebody new, because see that can look a little weird. But genuinely pick somebody to pray for. Get to know a person, a family, a couple. Something.
Yeah.
Get to know people.
Get to know people.
Any closing remarks you got for the people today?
Don't be cliquish. I'm just, it don't look good. You run people away,
Mm-hmm.
and you pastors need to get a handle on that.
Yes, yes,
You
indeed.
need to get a handle on it because see, you don't see all of what they're doing.
Mm-mm.
See, see the churches that we went to, the pastor didn't know that his people, his
Mm-mm.
little praise and worship people, or his little ministers, or whatever the case may be, was giving that energy off.
Right, because sometimes it's not intentional.
You see what I'm saying? So I mean, I probably could have worked with that pastor, but I'm just like, nah, bro. If I start working with you, I have to fight your people.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not doing that. So yeah, I would say this: y'all who are in the cliques, you in a clique, you try to convince yourself you're not, but you are.
Mm-hmm.
Stop it.
Stop it.
Stop it. Get to know other people, love other people. Come outside of your box, your little bubble.
And listen, if you've been wounded by a church clique, you've been turned off, don't let that stop you if that or deter you if that's where you know God sent you.
Yeah.
Don't let that stop you if that's where you know God sent you. Get to know somebody else, lead them people be, pray for them, release it to the Lord and move on. But do not let that uproot you from where you know God sent you. Stay in place, stay the course, get to know somebody else, and find your space within that household of faith and pray to the Lord and allow God and the senior leadership to do whatever changes that they need to do. You put yourself in a bad place when you tried to be the one to bring whatever rectification, because then you're operating out of a space where you don't have authority. But don't let it stop you. Don't let it deter you. Don't let it move you from where God sent you. You still have a call. You still have an assignment there.
Yes.
And you still are a valuable joint that is supposed to supply in that household of faith. And that's what you need to do. Be the joint to supply and pray. Well, listen, we're going to let you guys go. This was a great episode, great insight. Listen, tell us down in the comments what you think. Listen, click the link in the description, in the show notes. Leave us a voice message.
Yes,
Tell us what you
yes.
think
I
about
want to
this.
hear
Give us
from
your
you.
feedback. And
Yeah.
if you got a topic suggestion or a question that you want us to answer here on the show, leave that for us there, because who knows, your topic might end up being the next topic that we address. Until next time on the F3 podcast, goodbye.